Jai Atmeshwar, Samarpan Yog of the Himalayas, Part 1, Episode 13. The days passed and morning followed night every day. But my journey went on and on. The only ray of hope was the river which Gurudev had pointed out to me and which was now visible like a shining line. Its water was also shining, and this indicated that now I was moving towards the bank of the river, which seemed to be quite near. Distances are quite short in hilly areas, but a lot of time is spent in climbing up and down the hills. Thus, it takes 2 to 3 days to go from one hill to another. Actually, the hill seems to be right in front, but even that cannot be reached easily. There were a lot of thick jungles on the way, and the danger of losing one's way was always present. If one concentrated on the hill in front while crossing the jungle, it was all right. Otherwise, one would end up going in an altogether different direction. There are jungles of fir trees. These are the trees which are nicely decorated and displayed in the cities. They were spread out here like a jungle. One had to cut the trees to make a path. There were large plantations of banana trees. There were also jungles of bay leaves which are used as spices. The tribal people here used to take a bunch of these leaves and hang them in their kitchen, and whenever required, they would just break them off and use them. The various food items they prepared were very tasty because of the bay leaves. The special quality of trees in this area was that there were fewer thick or broad trees, but all the trees were very tall. There appeared to be some connection between the height of trees and the gravitational force. The trees were shorter wherever there was an increased gradient, and where there was less of a gradient, the trees were thinner but taller. Perhaps the soil there was not very deep, and therefore there wasn't much grip in it. During the rains, the soil would be washed away from the roots, and the compaction of the soil around the tree would loosen, and the tree would fall down. The roots were not deep enough, and that is why the tree grew upwards. Secondly, there were lots of creepers. There was hardly any tree without creepers. There were lots of creepers growing on every tree, but flowers grew only on one or two of them. The creepers were very thick and had only leaves growing on them. Generally, all the trees used to be covered with them. The whole place was so quiet that even if one stepped on a dry leaf, it made a loud sound. Water flowed out of the hills in several places and created small streams. Water was no problem as there was water everywhere. Then, at one place, I saw a plantation of wild bananas. I stopped there and bowed before the banana tree and prayed, "O Tree King, I am hungry, so I am asking you to give me a gift of 2 bananas. Please give me 2 bananas." And with this prayer, I picked 2 bananas. My Gurudev had taught me this, that every tree develops with great difficulty, and we don't have a right over the fruits of the mature tree. This does not fall under any authority in the jungle, nor does anyone take care of the trees. Thus, there is no caretaker for the trees. That is why we should eat the fruits only with permission from the trees themselves. When a small seed falls on the ground, it feels happy that it has found a place to develop and considers its life to be blessed. As soon as it falls, the seed lies on the ground and starts dreaming. I will really develop in my life. I too will grow into a big tree. It thinks like this the moment it reaches the ground. These sentiments are crushed when some small stones fall on it during a storm. Stones which have tumbled down the hill and have fallen on it accidentally. The seed has no idea about these stones. In the seed's dreams about its future, there are no stones, and neither has it thought about them. At first, the seed is startled by the stones that have suddenly landed on it. It is frightened. Its future appears to be full of darkness. The seed is very small, and the stones which have fallen on it are very big. The seed gets buried under the weight of those stones and thinks, what has happened? Can something bad like this happen in one's life? I had never thought that something like this could happen. What do I do now? Everything turns dark before its eyes, and its life is filled with sorrow. It starts thinking, maybe this is the end of my life. Now my life is over. I am so small, and these stones are so big. Even if I want to move them, how can I? I will never be able to move them. They are so heavy. What have I done to them? Why did they have to fall on me? I am so small and they are so big. Didn't they even feel ashamed of falling on such a small seed? Shameless stones. They are all laughing at me. They have crushed me and are laughing at me. They are making fun of me and saying, weren't you dreaming of being a big tree? Go on, show us how you can turn into a big tree. Dreaming of becoming a big tree. Look at your shape and size first. The poor seed is small. It listens to whatever the stones say to him. The stones keep teasing it, and there's nothing it can do. First of all, it is alone and small, and these stones are large and in such numbers that nothing can be done about it. This is my destiny, it thinks, and this is my end. And thinking like this, the poor seed lies there quietly. What is to be done? There is no clear way out of this. Now perhaps I will never be able to grow into a tree in my life. The poor seed continues to think in this manner. Then, after lying quietly for some time, a thought enters its mind. There are so many trees around here. They too must have faced problems in their lives. They too must have been small seeds at some time, and stones must have fallen on them as well. So how did they stay alive? I can at least take guidance from them. Suddenly, the seed's glance fell upon a big tree which was swaying majestically. It was a very heavy tree and so huge that the stones were nothing at all in comparison. The seed decided that this was an ideal tree. I will make this tree my guru and ask how it could develop so well. Stones must have fallen on it also when it was a seed. What did it do then? Now the problem was that the seed was so small and tiny, and the tree was touching the sky. How could it talk to such a big tree? How could a dialogue be established with such an enormous tree? The seed thought, what I have to say can never reach the tree because it is so big. I am so small that I will never be able to talk to it. What do I do? My shape is small and this tree is large, and there's a big difference in our sizes. There cannot be any dialogue between us based on our size. That is why the dialogue should not be at this level. First, I should think about why I decided to take guidance from this tree. I took this decision because I am a seed, and this tree was once a seed. This is the only similarity between us. This is the only relationship between us. We were both seeds once. Now, I'll have to understand from the tree's seed element how it managed to develop. I had just looked at it and thought of developing myself when the stones fell upon me. Then the seed made contact with the seed of the tree, which was still lying at ground level. This seed could easily reach the other because both were on the ground. No matter how big the tree had grown, its seed was still on the ground, though it had been transformed into roots. Therefore, the moment the little seed prayed to the seed of the neighboring tree, the seed of the huge tree came to meet the little seed in the form of roots. Then this little seed prayed to the seed of the big tree. I too wish to grow big like you, but what can I do? All these big stones have fallen on me. The seed of the neighboring tree came in the form of roots and gave the message saying, there is only one difference between you and me. You are calling yourself a seed, and your ego of I am a seed. Finish with this I sense. I surrendered myself completely to Paramatma, and then the I sense ended, and I was not a seed anymore and became a tree. You should also bring your ego of being a seed to an end, and you will also grow into a tree. Then the little seed said, I accept that. I too will surrender it to Paramatma. But what about these big stones? They are the problem in my life. The big tree said, these stones are only the problem of a little seed. Once you become a tree, this problem will go away. Look, I am such a big tree, and these small stones are tiny in front of me. The little seed replied, But I am so small, and these stones are so big. How will I be able to move them? The roots of the big tree said, surrender yourself completely to Paramatma. Give up your ego of being a seed. It is the ego of being a seed which is giving you that feeling of being small. The moment you give up that ego, the road ahead will automatically open up. The little seed accepted what the big tree had to say and relinquished its I sense of being a seed. And a strange incident took place. The seed was destroyed, and out of it, a small sprout took birth. The sprout was fully immersed in Paramatma and started moving towards him. There were many stones in its path, but the sprout's whole attention was on Paramatma, and it did not pay any attention to those stones and went on making its way around them and slowly began to develop. Then one day it grew into a big tree, and the stones which were lying on the path remained as they were. When I saw all this in nature, I realized that I should consider the seed as my Guru. I had a vision of Gurudev in the seed, as if Gurudev was guiding me in the form of the seed. Night was approaching. It was getting dark, and there was a chance of losing my way. I therefore decided to take rest. Now, the water in the river shone even at night, and this indicated that I had reached the bank of the river. I decided to rest for the night in the shadow of the same rock again. When I woke up in the morning, I found that I had actually reached the river. When I turned and looked back at the hill, it appeared far away. What a long distance I had traveled from the hill where I had started my journey. As I was in Gurudev's proximity on this long journey, I was unaware of how I crossed hills, where I slept at night, or what problems I had encountered. I did not realize anything. Man's journey through life is similar. If one observes man's journey in general, one finds that he journeys alone in the form of a soul. All other people just accompany him. The people who are with him are present because of the relationship with the body. Some are together because of friendship, and one goes closer to some souls because of their previous birth. Some souls are also together because of their relationship in their previous birth. If one looks at it from the point of view of the age of one's body, then man spends maximum time with his wife because he cannot spend his whole life with his parents due to the generation gap. One spends time later with one's children because of the future generation. But man's biggest companion is his wife. The success of man's whole life depends on this companionship. The secret of man's success or failure in life is hidden in this association, and the wife's company is also important in a man's life because he has a close relationship with his wife at the physical level too. There is also a special emotional relationship with his wife because of that internal relationship. There is a special love too, and man achieves success or failure because of that love. Whether man gets success in his life or not depends on this relationship. The relationship between a husband and his wife is like a U-tube that is found in a laboratory. This means that if you pour 100 grams of water at one end of the U-tube, 50 grams of it will automatically go to the other end. One does not have to put it there. It goes there on its own. Just as the U-tube has separate ends on the outside but is joined at the bottom, similarly, the husband and wife, despite having two separate bodies, are one because of their physical relationship. Now, if you absorb some spiritual energies through your devotional practice, then half your energies will automatically go to your wife, and you won't be able to progress as long as she does not progress. Thus, both progress spiritually together. That is why no man in this world can have a better friend than his wife or a greater enemy than his wife. Every man has to undertake a long journey in life with his wife. That is why a husband and wife are called life partners. It is usually seen that this close relationship is not the same throughout one's life. It may be closer or more distanced depending on the time, but it definitely remains for all time. For example, when a man gets married, the attraction for his wife is strong, and this is natural because he establishes an intimate relationship with his wife. Then, it is natural that an emotional relationship will also be established. This close relationship is very intimate for the first 10 to 15 years, and after that, the man remains the same, but the woman's attention is divided. The woman starts paying more attention to her children rather than the husband. On the other hand, the man is not as involved with the children as his wife is. The man remains busy in his job or his profession, and he is involved with his work in the interim 10 to 15 years. The distance between the man and his wife grows. Later, the children grow up, they get married, and start their own domestic life. And then the man comes closer to his wife again. Now, when he comes closer, it is not because of physical attraction, but due to the emotional attraction. Because the man realizes that during the big gap in their relationship, an emotional bond has developed. Then, what is left is the old man for the old woman and the old woman for the old man. Both of them establish one unified world, and it has been seen that the wife once again has to take on the mother's role, and this time her old man becomes her child. Thus, it appears that a woman is a lover for a short time and then becomes a mother perennially. Then, in old age, the husband and wife become very close to each other because again, both the relationships come together. This is similar to a circle which is joined at the upper end and also joined at the lower end. It is only in the middle portion that there is a distance. That is why the greatest companion in a man's life is his wife. And I too feel that it is because of my wife's cooperation that I have been able to reach this stage. Because if she had opposed me negatively, then problems would have arisen in my spiritual practice. It was good for me that she did not oppose anything. Jai Atmeshwar. We'll conclude the book reading for today over here. Thank you for listening.